thanks for tuning in to the latest episode of Rise, Grind, Repeat. In today's episode, we talked to Tim from Smart Wrap. It was a great conversation with someone else in the marketing space, just on the more traditional side of things. We have a great discussion around how car wraps help a business from a branding perspective. So let's hop right in.
But basically, people come to us because they need branding on their fleets. And a lot of times they don't have a logo, and they also don't have a sort of a very strong brand identity. So then we kind of backtrack a little bit and build that up. And it turns out you can use that sort of stuff for the website and your business cards and your brochures and everything as well. So.
Love it. Yeah, because as I was looking through the website, obviously car wraps and everything, but as I was looking through the PDFs and like the one PDF, it's awesome. Love what you have, but it looks a lot like how you help quite a bit is coming to that brand identity. And it's something that, we talk about quite a bit is so many people want to do marketing, talk about themselves, but they don't have an identity on who you are, what you're actually talking about. What made you start identifying that and really seeing that there was huge opportunity, or businesses didn't understand what a brand identity truly was?
It just happened because I started to notice that it doesn't matter if you put a crummy logo on a wrap, it's not going to help. It's, all you're doing is getting the wrong impression to more people, right? Now you've given a bad impression to like 200,000 people, whereas if you hadn't done that, there might be a better chance of success. So then I thought, let's try and help people get that sorted out, because that's the center spoke of the sort of like the wagon wheel, as I like to say, is your logo and your brand identity. And then from there you can branch out to your website, to your printed materials, to your uniform, your vehicle graphics, everything else, your Facebook and your TV or whatever you do. But if you don't have a good center spoke, the whole thing's gonna fall apart.
Yeah. Was it just one client that you had where you just stumbled and like realized the power of what brand identity could do, or?
It started long time ago. Like as a teenager, my dad was thinking of ways to keep me out of trouble, and he was on an advisory board for McDonald's where he liaisoned between the franchisees and the agency of record.
Okay.
And so he thought, maybe if you come, you should get into advertising, because you kind of like are kind of a pitch man and kind of a promoter, and sit in and see how these guys do it. And so right then and there, I was kind of saw both sides of the equation, and I said, okay, I understand the creatives, what they're trying to say, and I understand the business guys are saying, where's the results? This looks great. You won an award. Sales are down 10%. You're fired. It didn't keep me out of trouble for very long. And so coming full circle later in life to this, I was like, yeah, now I understand what the agency is saying, and why they're doing that is they want more success. So most of the time they want more success so that they can get more work. It's not always aligned that way. Success to them might be more billable hours, it might be more awards, it might be very self-serving.
Yep.
On the other side, the client wants results. So I saw the two coming together and thinking, okay, listen, if this customer has a really killer logo and a killer brand, most likely what's going to happen is they're going to need another couple of vehicles pretty soon. It's a win-win. And so I started to notice what happens when people come back in 6 months and say, can you take this off? It's not working. I didn't get anything out of it. And what happens when people call back and they're like, yeah, people keep calling me and they keep saying, I see your vans all over town and I only have one van. I look like a national brand,
That's cool.
And I need another van and another one and another, and what's the difference? And the difference comes down to a simple design that makes people feel happy about looking at you.
How do you, how do you go about that process? Like what do the conversations look like whenever you're helping someone figure out that brand identity? And really, because you just hit on something super important, is the emotional side of things. And that's where a lot of people or a lot of advertisers kind of not so much fail, is it's always trying to get the wow effect without figuring out how to make someone feel good. Convey the emotion that you want to convey, whether it's good, bad, whatever it is. How do you go about that process and helping someone figure out what that emotion is they need to hit on?
Well, you got to ask a lot of questions about what the final destination is, right? And then work your way back. A lot of times I hear people say, I say, this is going to sound wacky, but why are you getting a wrap? Same thing would be, why are you getting a website? Why are you doing anything that you do? And if the answer is for the money, or because we want a super specific thing to happen, then I have to take a much farther back view and say, okay, hold on a sec. Why do you want the money? Why do you want this to, what's the end? Is it happiness? Do you like doing what you're doing? You want to keep doing it for the rest of your life? Do you want to just flip this business, or what's
what is the ultimate goal?
Because the ultimate goal then determines the action. Because a lot of times what they say is, I need this, 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 and this, and this, and you're once you analyze it, you say, well, those aren't the ingredients for the destination you just described. You're trying to make basically a recipe for that destination, and they're giving you ingredients that are not the right ingredients. Based on, hey, look, other guys have said that they wanted 3 phone numbers for their 3 valley locations, and it looks like, what do you got? 27 digits on the side of a vehicle. It looks like the Matrix, right?
Yep. And I mean, from what your PDF says, how much time do you have to actually digest? I mean, is it 3 seconds?
They're going to be reading inside their mind, like the caveat at the end of those car commercials, where they're just like blah, 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 at the end, right? Nobody's going to read that fast. Yep. They're just going to be like, whatever. Think about my own problems in life and turn up the radio.
Yep. Which is the complete opposite effect of what you want advertising to do. You want to grab their attention, not have them blocked out. All you want is
just a gentle smile in their sort of in their brain and heart. Because eventually, after 3 years of smiling about that, when it comes time to choose, and they barely remember anything, and they Google, there's that company. I forgot about them.
Yeah, no, I love it, because I mean, there's a couple things in there. The branding side of things. I've worked at agencies, and it's every company, every brand, it seems to be so buy from me focused, when sure, you're going to get a couple sales, but there's so much power in branding yourself, telling your story and who you are, and giving all those months or years of that happiness that when you go to make that decision, you're going to be the go-to, and then it costs that much less to get that acquisition because you've done a good job at branding. Something that's super interesting that you said at the very beginning was when it comes to McDonald's, the logos or whatever look good, but then how is that actually driving business? And there's usually a disconnect between the two of, we did this.
Yeah, right. What's again, they're like you kind of want a mix of both, right? Mm-hmm. Buy now, right? There's that. And then there's, if you drive down the freeway and you see a billboard, it just says Bud Light or Coca-Cola. It doesn't say buy now. Mm-hmm. It doesn't say go to Circle K, or it doesn't say order online. That's just, a branding repetition. Yep. Then there's other places that are like, hey, get a $79 tune-up. Okay, well, that's a little bit different. That you can do that right now. Yeah. So I'm not saying doing one or the other, but don't be thinking that I'm doing branding and then have a whole bunch of calls to action. Yep. Right? Yeah. Or say, hey, I'm all about brand, and then have a bunch of calls to action. That, just be really cognizant of the game that you're playing. Yep,
it's super interesting. I mean, it all comes down to just having a conversation. It's identifying when you go in for the ask, and when you go, like, it's when you're going for the branding, and it's a lot of take the people that are engaging with your branding, and once they identify, and you can, I mean, I'm talking on the digital side of things, like as they're engaging with that, there are things you can do to retarget them and hit them when they are at that bottom of the funnel and looking to make the search, or doing a search and looking for your product or service. And that's how you can kind of use the branding. And so it is finding that fine balance, and really just figuring out who you're talking to, where they're at, and how much do they know about you? How close are they to making that buying decision? And so, yeah, I love that balance, because it's so skewed on the just buy for me, but you've never given a reason to buy from you, or what value do you bring over your competition? Or
I don't even know what it is that you're selling. That's the first thing. So buy now, and you're like, that's bigger than the logo, and I don't know what it is, and I'm not gonna research it.
Yep. And so on that fact, the balance of, that looks good, but what ROI did it drive? How do you go about, and I know you mentioned you had a stat on bringing sales, or 30% of someone's sales account for their vehicle wrap. How do you go about identifying or tracking that?
I just ask them.
Ask them?
Yeah. Hey, how many, and what I do is, before they leave, a lot of times I'll say, would you mind if you're going to be asking your clients how they heard about you, if you would include the vehicle wrap as one of the categories? And then a lot of companies track that, because asking that question is super, super important. It changes the direction of the conversation. So if you ask, somebody calls into your agency, right? Mm-hmm. Hey, thanks for calling. How did you hear about us? I Googled you. I Googled agencies in Tempe, right? Mm-hmm. That's a very different conversation than, Tim from SmartWrap told me all about you, or I saw a video that you posted. Okay, cool. So now you don't have to go back to the very beginning and say, okay, so you're doing your research. Do you know anything about agencies? Oh, okay, you saw that piece of content. What stuck out? Same thing with companies. How did you hear about us? Oh, I looked you up in the Yellow Pages or Google. Okay, so most likely you're looking for the best price. What's going on? Mm-hmm. Yeah. I saw your vehicle wraps. Oh, okay, cool. What did you think? Oh, I love them. Oh, okay. Now you're talking something else. I was referred by my cousin. I was referred by my mom. Oh, your mom. Okay. That's a pretty strong referral, right?
Yep.
Like your mom tells you something that's, for the most part, you're going to be like, well,
it's going to stick.
Yeah. Unless it's something that you really didn't like as a kid. You're like, hey, I really recommend this castor oil, and you're like, yeah, no, thanks. How about this? No. So, but the referrals are generally stronger, and you don't have to go back to basics about who you are, why you're, whatever. You can say, okay, yeah, your friend must have made a good choice. They're pretty happy, yeah. So that's what I ask: is ask them to ask their customers how did they hear about it. And then just the results. If you're a little pool guy with one vehicle and people keep seeing it and more people refer, and it just keeps going.
Yep. Just, correlating their revenue or bottom line to, well, you got to go in here, and all of a sudden you saw. So, what are the common questions that people have? And I guess one of mine would be is, does it matter how good the car looks? Because I have a 95 Tacoma. It has dents here and there or whatever, but would that not be a good candidate for a vehicle wrap? Or
I don't think so, unless you we're marketing a smash up derby or something. If you just think about, hey, this guy's coming in, he's charging the same amount of money as everybody else, and he's driving a totally 25-year-old messed up vehicle, aren't you going to be going, why isn't that guy cheaper? It doesn't add up, right? Yep. Now, if you look better than everybody else and you're only about 5% more, then that makes it look like you're a better value, right? Yep. Like you go in the grocery store, you're buying stuff, one package is bigger than the others and it's not much more, or one package is better than the others, you're like, why not, right? Or one's the same price and you're like, geez, looks like no name brand. Yeah. What's up with that, So definitely a newer model, especially if you're in anything that needs to show that you know what you're doing, like real estate, right? Yep. If you're good at real estate, wouldn't you be able to afford a relatively new car, right? If that's your full-time gig, if you're a top quality AC company, but the wheels are falling off your van, would you think, hey, maybe they're not quite doing well, or not? Yep. They're not going to do a good job. Yeah, so I would definitely go for new. Plus, you're spending all this money on the wrap. What happens if that engine blows up? You just spent $2 or $3 grand on a useless vehicle. So
makes sense. It really ties into marketing in and of itself. It's funny because it's you wouldn't be a home or a mobile car detailer if you come in and you're truck is just full of mud. Yeah.
Exactly. It's kind of like, you're a personal trainer and you're not in the best shape.
Yep. Very, very good analogy right there. So, I mean, love everything everything you're talking about. Like, it's super in line with just how we think, especially when it comes to just knowing the long-term game. And that's where, instead of just selling them the car wrap, let's back into the brand identity, figure it out, because that taking the time, it'll work, which then creates long-term income.
Yeah. And even just finding out, is it actually this? A lot of times I'm like, your company is so niche, I don't think spending this money is going to be very beneficial to you. I'll actually say, listen, you're marketing like very specific. I think one guy that made machined parts for the aerospace industry.
Oh, wow.
And his target was like buyers for Boeing. And I'm like, how many of them do you think are driving down the road? Right. Yeah. Take that money and target people of a certain income at Boeing on Facebook and maybe LinkedIn or whatever, and you might get a bit farther. But a wrap, man, I don't feel good about taking that money. It's not going to work.
Yep. So what are the types of industries that would be?
Very successful in stuff that you have as a business, you're going to be servicing the client at their home. So pool, landscaping, AC, plumbing, electrical, anything like that. Servicing people at their house has a pretty high level of trust, a very high, like this barrier, like people are inviting unknown person into their house where their personal stuff is, where their kids are, their dogs. It might not always be. Person might be there by themselves. So as soon as they're needing this service, this wall just goes up like this, right? This high-tech wall inside of their emotion and whatnot, and they're very defensive. So if you can have something that doesn't freak them out right off the bat, like a picture of some kind of weird air conditioner, like that doesn't look friendly, right?
Yep.
Or something like that, but have a friendly, character or something like that makes them smile a little bit and lowers that distrust just a bit.
It goes back into just the emotional side of things. Make them feel like you're a friend, not a stranger coming in, and that's what that kind of helps do. The mascot part, reading through that, how do you go about coming up with the looks and feel of that? Do you help brands with that?
Yeah. That, again, it's just take our cues from kind of like the Jetsons, those characters, or that it kind of goes back. We want to harken back to a time when we think that people, for whatever reason, think it was better in the 50s and 60s. I don't think it actually really was. If you take a look at, if you wanted to go transport back there and try to make a living, it doesn't seem like it would be as easy as it is now with all the technology. But we think that it goes back to a more, moral time or whatever, honest time or whatever. So, excuse me. If you can tap into that a little bit, make it look like it's been established for a long time, give it that sort of nostalgic feel, with maybe a bit of a modern twist on customer service.
Good approach.
Yeah, you can do quite well.
I like it. So, I mean, you mentioned when you first came in, the last 2 years have flown by. Typically, it's you're growing. You're out there doing stuff, and it seems like, your portfolio has been built out. How have you kind of gone about growing your brand and your agency, or not agency, but your company, to just getting out there?
Really, it's mostly word of mouth. I'd say, vast majority is referral. A little bit of marketing, content production. We do quite a bit of that. Targeted content production. Been doing that for really basically since day one. But as what works changes, then we've adjusted. And so the last 2 years, we've really got more into the sort of like the Gary V content model. And actually, that's where I got that PDF idea on the front page of the website right now, which is produce the thing that you stand for, the centerpiece of everything, and just say, hey, if you're going to do this, this is how to do it, whether you do it with me or somewhere else. But this is, if you want to be effective, this is what you got to do.
Yeah, no, I love it because that's the whole reason why we're doing. It's a way to give value, and it's funny if you help guide someone to their answer. They have a funny way of making their way back to you to make that purchase, and it's like it's funny how so many people just sit on things and go, "I'm not going to give it away for free," because they're going to go somewhere else. But it's like if you help someone out, they're going to come back to you. So it was great seeing that. I mean, you have someone here helping you with video. What do you do with the video? What does your content strategy look like?
Just document everything and then go back in and see if there's nuggets that people would find helpful.
Nice. Are you guys, because I know you got quite a few blogs going. I didn't have a ton of time to dive into all of them. Are you guys using the video to help build those blogs? Or like, I guess, where are you pushing all the videos and all the content? Are you pushing through?
Basically, yeah, LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram, as well as a little bit on the website. Try and drive some SEO on that, but mostly it's those three. Yeah.
Do you do any like how-tos? Have you done any have you done any keyword research around what like questions or anything people are looking for, and literally just make 1, 2, 3 minute videos on answering those?
Not really. I've done stuff that I'm kind of going about it the other way and saying, if you want to do this, then this. Instead of saying, okay, well, that guy wants to do that. That's not really relevant. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like if you want to do the thing that I know how to do, then,
As in they're asking the wrong question?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I only have one area of expertise. So I'll just keep putting content out around that rather than saying, okay, this guy said, okay, well, how do you wrap this thing, or how do you wrap that thing? Well, the question is why? Why are you wrapping it?
Yeah, because I mean, what you just said, if there's a lot of whats rather than the whys, you can preface with a lot of people ask the what, and it goes into the SEO and how you title the videos and all that, but essentially you could pivot it to where you start out, and this is a common question that most people have. What is the process? But I want to get into and you can use, so you can kind of pivot it. You leverage the volume that people are actually searching for and let them know, hey, maybe this isn't what you're looking for, but this is why you need to think this way. And then that would be a good way to get in front of the audience that might not know, but then it helps bring in some value.
So what's the wrap like, or something like that?
Yeah.
It's you could do that. Most of the time it's like, what should I put on the wrap? I want a wrap that has XYZ on it,
Yep.
And so the process is a little bit more self-serving and not as useful, I don't think, because each company is different how they work. And so explaining my process, that's not really that relevant until it's like, okay, I really like what you do. What's the next step?
Yep,
right?
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unless there's something super unique, like, the process behind anodizing metal or something. You're like, look at this. This is kind of cool. People watch the weirdest stuff on YouTube, right?
It's insane. It's insane.
And so you'd want to watch that or something. But maybe I shouldn't be the ultimate judge on what people find entertaining, but I have a suspicion that hearing some guy talk about how the process of his agency works is a little bit less interesting than this is what you should do if you want to achieve this. Mm-hmm. This, you know what I mean? More of the actionable help rather than talking about yourself.
Yeah. Because I hear you, and that's where you can pivot into not talking about yourself.
And that's just like how do you do a podcast? Okay, well that's some actionable. First, I recommend these mics. I recommend you get a studio like this and some lights and have this, that, like all of that sort of stuff. That's helpful. So let's say a pool cleaning guy. This is how you take apart your filter. And you're like, geez, that's good. I think I'll get you to do that. So I can see like those kinds of, like, what is the correct pH balance for the pool? Well, this is what it is. Those kinds of things. For me, it's more, what should you put on the wrap? It's really very, I keep it pretty limited to what I actually know. Yeah.
Because you could even do videos like if the what is the wrap product, if that is a super high volume keyword, you could literally have that be the title and then do dash. This is another way to think about it. And then the whole video is not about the process. It's don't think about the process. You need to think about why you need to do this or what you need. Like you can take what people are looking for and not make it self-serving, but just kind of pivot it. It's almost like clickbait type of thing where it's like, oh yeah, I am looking for what the process is. You start looking at the video, you get in front of them, but it's like the what is not what you should be thinking. It's the why. And then it's not self-serving. Then you're bringing value. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, wow, I didn't even think about that. And then they forget even what they originally typed in, the what, because then they get into your...
To a certain extent, I guess you could do some kinds of tutorials like how to lay out your graphics on a wrap template.
Yeah.
Now you'd be marketing to like other agencies and graphic designers that are talking to their clients.
Yeah.
And you could get some sort of like wholesale type work like that. I haven't done too much of that. I'm speaking right now directly to the small business, medium-sized business guy or gal that needs to have something happen. And they don't need to know how to do it. They need to know that you know how to do it.
If they're wanting to know how to do it, they probably have too much time on their hands and might not be able to afford you anyway.
There's a fair amount of people that are trying to get their internal marketing staff to do it.
Gotcha.
Which is really, that's fine for getting the basic concept down if they have any branding type sense. But that doesn't mean those files are usable and can be printed from. Mm-hmm. It's sort of like somebody saying, "Hey, I've written a song," and you're like, "Well, that is a song," but it's not suitable it would be rejected by iTunes for the quality. Mm-hmm. And also you're missing the chorus.
Yep. Yep.
So,
yeah, it almost.
And actually, wait a sec. That other part you sampled, you can't sample that. That's copying somebody else, right? A lot of times we'll get logos from clients, and they're like, I know where that mascot came from. All you did was change a little bit on the logo, and now that's somebody else's logo.
Gotcha. Do you see that happen quite a bit?
Not that much anymore, but yeah, there was with the sort of burgeoning popularity of these online sort of sourcing type things. You'll get people that just because you paid somebody and they gave you something back doesn't mean that's actually like a legitimate or not copied from somebody else's work.
Yeah.
And they're not going to tell you, and even if you ask, they're not going to probably tell you that that's what happened. And I think that's so much more powerful than this is how the treadmill works. Yep. These are the calories burned. This is what I do. I think it's way more important to be this is who I am.
Yeah, I think so too, because I mean, when you ask someone, would you rather buy from a stranger or a friend? Most of the time it's going to be a friend, and that's all you're doing is creating that friendship, creating that trust, creating that relationship with someone by showing them who you are and giving insight. And that's literally like the whole premise or part of the premise of why we're doing these podcasts. One is to kind of just hear what others are doing, but then also, I mean, there's already been quite a few good things that have been said in this that can be used for other business to help them grow, but more so anyone that might be a prospect can stumble on and then just get a sense of how we think and just who we are. And I think it's so powerful to give people insight into who you are as a brand and the culture that you guys have rather than what it is that you sell.
Exactly. Like you can, the way that companies have worked for a very long time now is that you can pretty much say anything, but when it comes down to really the actual doing is the part that you can't really fake. Right? So I liken it to people call up a company that sells widgets and they say, what's the price? Why are you this? And I'm the best. All right, cool. They call up the next company. I'm the best. They both can't be the best.
Yeah.
So now what do you do? One can say they're the worst and I'm the best. People can say anything. Mm-hmm. The solution to that is to start getting into what you stand for by showing it rather than saying I have a 15 points on a thing that we invented.
Yeah.
Yay, whatever. This is what we stand for: customer service, quality. It's the same. It's the same old. But I want to see somebody saying, "Oh man, I messed up. I'm going to fix that for you," or I'm on the roof looking, oh, look at these shingles. They're all messed up. If you'd had a maintenance plan, this wouldn't have happened. Mm-hmm. You can't you can tell people you're the best, but when you're showing them that, hey, this could have been avoided, that makes them think that, you know, it's not a good idea until somebody else thinks of it themselves. You know what I mean?
You just hit the nail on the head.
Like,
you gotta give someone the aha moment.
I love those FedEx commercials from a while back where the guy's like, we need to save money. And the one person's like, yeah, we can save 10% by using FedEx. And the boss goes, I've got it. We can save 10% by using FedEx. And everybody's like, yeah. And he's like, and they're like, the guy's like, but that's what I said. And he goes, yeah, but I went like this.
That is hilarious.
Do you remember that?
Yeah. But like everything that you just
funny.
said, that's like the entire premise of marketing, and that's why content marketing works so well. And like giving people insight, it's not like telling someone they need it. Oh, okay, well, you're just telling me I need it because you're gonna make money, you're gonna sell me. But if you can show someone like, oh, hey, it's gonna make you feel this way, or it's gonna give you time back, how is that going to actually benefit someone? That's when the aha moment happens, and that's where that sale comes in, or that client comes in.
Things are pretty jaded out there right now, and they have been for some time. There's so much. I mean, if you focus on it, you can find plenty of reasons to be pessimistic.
Oh yeah.
And I noticed that coming in, there's a lot of distrust. People have been burned. I'd imagine, car industry. How awesome is that for getting what you thought you were getting? I see it with SEO companies. Mm-hmm. They people now are like, man, I don't even know if I want SEO, because every guy comes in and says, oh, we're going to do this, this, and this is going to be the result, and nothing happens.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah. That's the big. I mean, that's so coming into this. I mean, as a marketing agency, that's what you hear all the time. Oh, I did this, went with this person, and didn't see any results. And that's again another reason why we're doing these podcasts, because I mean, we talk about timelines, setting expectations, when to expect results, and just chat through the entire process. And I think that, I mean, just most people are in it for the short-term game, so they overpromise and underdeliver. When you'd be amazed that you can, I mean, even if you want to look at it selfishly, make so much more money by not looking at the short term and actually helping people, because you're going to build that trust. And sure, you might take a little bit longer to make that money, but over the course of 5 years, it's going to be 10x what you could have made in that month, 1 year, whatever that relationship was.
Yeah, it's quite easy to understand that patience is a good strategy. It's really not that easy to be patient.
Yeah.
That's not the way this society works. It's not the way most of us were raised. We want it now. Everything is available now.
Yeah.
Why should we wait? Okay, here's my business. Start. Why isn't it starting? I pressed the button.
Isn't it crazy what we've got?
Where's the money? I thought it would just be like an avalanche of cash as soon as I opened my door. That obviously hyperbole on that, but it is funny actually when you take or when you meet people that are first getting into it. It's you don't want to talk them out of it. Just want to try to help them not stub their toe really bad, like I have.
Yeah.
I've done it so many times. Oh, I'm going to do this. Oh, I wish I'd known that. Oh, I'm going to do, I haven't gone through business school. I've gone through starting and failing.
What are some of those things early on? Because, I mean, we're less than a year old as a company, and I mean, full time. Like, I left my full-time job now, I mean, in July, so it's brand new, and it's some of those things, like, I wish I would have known that, and I didn't finish college, didn't go to business school, and it's tough.
I think you really, you're in the business of, you need two things. You need know how to sell, or have somebody on your team that knows how to sell, and know how to market. Because no matter what you are, you're in the business of marketing what you do. Mm-hmm. You're a dentist, you're marketing your dental services and closing the deals. If you're a lawyer, no matter what you do. So I think that's something that I knew in the beginning. I just didn't know how strong you have to be right off the bat in that. Like, let's say you're a technician, you're really good at fixing air conditioning. Mm-hmm. There's no air conditioner that you've ever not been able to fix. that is a completely different skill set than I have a van and all my equipment and a phone and a website, and I'm waiting for something to happen.
Yep.
Just waiting and waiting and waiting. Meanwhile, the mortgage is due, the food needs to be bought, like money's just flying out the window. That pressure now is, maybe your wife is saying, "Hey, what's going on? I'm checking the bank account." Like,
Yeah.
Things need to happen.
Yep.
And so, if you're actually good at the selling side of things, I think you're going to have a head start. Now, obviously, you still need to know how to fix the air conditioner. You can't be really good at get up there and be like,
and not fix it.
go up there, hit some pots and pans, all done. That'll catch up fast. But we're assuming that you'd actually know how to do the thing that you're being hired to do. You also need to know how to sell and market and get out there. In the past years, that would have been, okay, you need to know how to answer the phone. You still need to know how to do that, but now you need to know what do you need to look like on the web? How do you get in front of the right people? Before, maybe you had a Yellow Pages ad. Now you have, and then it was TV and then radio. Mm-hmm. You need to know how to do that, or hire somebody that does. The other thing is getting too fancy too fast. You're going to need those cash reserves. It's going to take longer than you think. Getting all of the best stuff. It's like having a restaurant, right? Best kitchen, best everything, stainless steel, granite, like best, mm-hmm. And then your doors open and 2 people walk in. You're losing a lot of money right off the bat, right? Mm-hmm. So, I think the thing that I would do, not that I would do it any differently over again, but just keep a real strong focus on, is this absolutely necessary right now, instead of thinking too far ahead. Oh, we're going to grow into this. Let's spend $50,000 so that we're ready in 5 years. Let's be ready. Yeah. Let's be ready for the next 3 months to a year, and use that money to get ready for but don't go out, build out too far in advance. Yeah,
I love it. It's so interesting. Even outside of just marketing budgets, it's interesting to see how people just spend their money as a business, where it's like, I've talked to people where it's like, we don't have money for marketing, we don't have sales coming in, but they have like a brand new truck, and it's like,
brand new lifted.
Yeah, and it's like, you had the money, you just decided to spend it, and
a lot of bling, and there's a boat too.
Yep, but no customers coming in, and it is a very interesting thing of where people spend their money, and it's my entire thing is, what is going to drive the highest ROI next. That way I can fund the other things, and it's all about balancing what you're spending on long term versus what you need now. And I come from an accounting background. That's what I went to school for, is accounting. So the whole just money thing fascinates me.
Big head start on that.
But so what have you taken any of the content and put dollars behind it, like pushing any money on YouTube, Facebook, any of that, or has it just been pushing it on your social channels and letting other people share it?
I have put a little bit behind it just to test what would, does it change the reach? Does it change who it go, who are they going to send this to? What happens? It's been kind of interesting to see. You really need to hone down your demographic. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, you're marketing really to the wrong people. And that's, again, one of those things, like I was saying, you have a bad logo in front of 200,000 people. Yep. You have a great commercial in front of 14-year-old kids that are not going to be, not in 10 years going to be owning an AC company,
Yep.
So.
How, have you seen results from it? Has it drummed up any business?
We just anecdotal stuff where you have people come in, they literally walk in and say, "Hey, I've seen the videos and stuff that you did. I really want to do work with you." Get some DMs, "Hey, quote for this, quote for that." I would say probably 90% of the leads come from the social content, and 10% from of the online leads come from social.
Have you tried search at all, like Google search?
For the niche that I'm in, yeah, this has been a bit of a waste of money. There's, let's say, again, you're trying to get people before they've already made the mistake of a bad logo and branding decision. But when you're talking a Google search, the intent is now, right? I've already got that. I need it now. And when you start to say, well, that logo is pretty bad.
Yeah.
That's not really what they want to hear. You want to get to them ahead of that before they make that problem.
Yep.
Kind of like a doctor, I guess, right? You want to get to people before they're calling up with a health emergency.
Yeah.
Right. And so you can get that content probably not by a Google search, right? I'm looking up my ankle's sore. It's a bit late now. But if you had Facebook content on how to avoid sore ankles,
yep,
then you'd be on top of it.
Yeah. What's super interesting is, did you know that you can, so these videos that you're doing as people are engaging, if you connect AdWords and YouTube, you can actually basically target and only show up to those people searching who have watched a video. So essentially I mean, if you were to do a whole campaign around how to come up with a brand and like all the stuff to qualify them so they know that they have it. And then it's like, all right, if they've watched that video, and when they go to do that search, vehicle wraps, then that's the only time you show up. And it's funny because that's usually the biggest opportunity that I see with most brands is when it comes to that search is they're just showing to anyone and everyone, and to your point, haven't qualified them. And it's amazing what the quality of that lead looks like after they've watched 10, 15 videos. And
what the main problem with the SEO situation is that there's a lot of people looking for vehicle wraps, and very few are actually looking for commercial vehicle wraps.
What are the other ones?
I have a 93 Tacoma. I want to change the color. Oh, I saw West Coast Customs. I want to know what it costs.
Yeah.
No idea what it costs.
It's funny because when I told Colton that you were coming in, that's what.
Yeah, I saw a gold Lambo. I'd like to get my.
That's exactly.
I want my Corolla wrapped like that. Well, did you notice it's a Lambo and not a Corolla?
Yeah.
That gives you an indication of the price of this sort of thing, right?
Has LinkedIn done anything for you?
A little bit, yeah. I'm going to make a much bigger push on LinkedIn this year. I like the LinkedIn. Like right in LinkedIn, that's going to be where you give like really super useful, helpful stuff, right? And the other two are more like catching up with family, and you're not quite in the mindset of, hey, here's some knowledge. Yeah. Unless it's more inspiring or something like that, you're not going to watch that as much or you're not in the right mind frame because you're there for a different purpose. So for Instagram, you might be there to look at nice pictures. So make sure you have nice pictures with a bit of content. Facebook, you're there. I don't know. Hopefully not to argue with everybody, but once you've got that out of your system, you can argue with me on my video. So nice. But LinkedIn is much more professional and. It's starting to get more social, but I think most people are there to make connections, learn, and help.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because it has been kind of the I guess not lone wolf, but you have all the other channels here and it's just starting to catch up. But I think it's definitely creating buzz. But I think it is because going back to what is the environment that you're in? If you're Instagram, it's very visual. If you're in LinkedIn, it's very business, but it is kind of like a social platform. And then I think that's been the big, it's finding that balance between you can be social and still talk about business. And I think that's starting to actually pick up is that it's not all like I have to wear a suit and tie. And if I'm going to be on LinkedIn, I have to be corporate-y. I think it is becoming more social, but still on the premise of business. Yeah. And I'm super excited about just LinkedIn. We're trying to post on it more, and just the overall reach that you have compared to the other channels is
we've really got to do a lot more. It's stunning how much content you actually have to put out. You get one
full-time job.
Let's say you get one good video in a week. That's cool. Yeah. But why wouldn't how much more effort does it take to get 5?
Yeah.
Right? You've got I know Gabe there had to make 7 videos and I picked 1. right? And the one got quite a good feedback. And now, well, let's go back into those other 6 and see if, I don't know. Now he's got to do it again and again. So I'd say maybe 15% end up being posted and 85% I'm going to think on. That's a lot of work.
Yeah.
What would you say?